Hi guys, this is Faiza Abbas. I'm back with another episode of my interview series, and today I have with me one of the most amazing writers that I know through Twitter, and that's Maria S. Picone. Hi, Maria.
Hi, thank you for having me on here.
It's a pleasure. As you can see that me and Maria, we are both excited about this. So let's just talk about Maria's journey that she has talked about through her bio, and then we will take it up from that. Maria Espicon is a Korean American adoptee who won Cream City Review's 2020 Summer Poetry Prize. She has been published in Ice Flow Press, Bending Genres, Vale Road Review, and more, including Best Small Fictions 2021. She has received grants from the Kenyan Review, Lighthouse Writers, Grub Street, The Watering Hole, SAFTA, the Speakeasy Project, and others. She is the prose editor at Chestnut Review and also edits or reads at the Hannock Review, Uncharted Magazine, Longleaf Review, and Slice. That's a very impressive bio, I must say, Maya.
Thanks. I feel so embarrassed. I'm sorry. I hate bios so much. I feel like I don't know, sometimes it feels impersonal. I had one before that was more whimsical, but I never know what to put in them. So yeah.
So that's very, very, impressive. So I want to start with your journey as a writer. So tell me, what was
Okay.
the moment when you decided that you want to be a writer? What was that moment?
Um, well, really, I think for most writers, it starts when you're a kid. And for me, it was in elementary school. We had a visit from a local writer, and he was the first person that was really interested in reading and writing the way that I was. Because when I was really young, I could already read books for older kids. But even though my parents read, they're not like bookworms. And I was one of those kids that, like, I beg my mom to go to the library and I check out like 10 or 15 books at a time every single week. And I'd read them all and then we'd bring them back. And when we went on trips, I'd bring Oh my gosh, I bring so many books with me. If I did something good, my reward would be books. My mom would take me to Barnes and Noble or a local bookstore to get books. So he was the first person that I met who really cared about books as much as I did, even though I was really like 6 or 7 years old. And he told us something that I've heard from other writers, which is writing isn't just something that you do, it's something that you sometimes don't even want to do, but you feel like you have to. It's like a mental tick or some sort of feature that you just can't turn off. It's a passion. And that really, really spoke to me. So I'm somebody who had fits and starts of creativity. I quit writing even after I got my MFA. So the most recent time that I came back to writing was in late 2019. And it was really every time because I had this fire inside of me, this spark for creating and thinking about words and playing with words that I just couldn't get rid of.
Interesting. I want to ask you, how has your experience as a Korean American writer translated into your writing?
Oh gosh, well, that's a very big question. When I was growing up, I just thought that I was, like everybody else around me. My town was more than 90% white. My whole family was white. And even though they're very proud of their heritage, no matter what type of heritage that was, everybody where I'm from is like really proud about some, European ancestry or other things in their background. I never really thought about myself as Korean. And that started to change when I was maybe in high school and especially in university, because for the first time I met a lot of people who were Asian American or Asian, and they identified me as Korean. So for the first time in my life, I felt like, oh, that's actually something that I am. And that's something that I've definitely struggled with throughout my life. And I feel more like it now But just like my writing journey, that has been a lifelong journey that's gone step by step along with my writing journey. So in my writing, I explore my identity, but I see it as a work in progress. And when I came back to writing after 2019, I've read a lot of Korean writers, I've read a lot of Korean American writers, and even just Asian and Asian American writers in general, and writers of color, of all stripes and sizes. So that, I think, has really helped me to understand my place in the world much more. So I don't know if that is, I think of it as an ongoing process, but it's definitely something that I have embraced and that I want to be reflected in my writing and my identity much more.
Keeping that in mind, I want to say something to those who don't know about it. So, Maria has written a poem about her journey, and that's available on Tremset. And the poem was about her journey as a Korean American writer. So, when we were talking about that, I just recalled that I read her poem, which is a prose poem for representation, and you can find it on Tremset. And I love that poem, and now after talking to you, I realize that the crux of that poem.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a poem where I go straight into the fact that in my childhood, I had very few representations around me that were like me. And I got sick of people making all these false narratives. Like whenever there was an Asian or Asian American person that was famous, like I got told that I looked like Lucy Liu because that was the only actress that people knew who was Asian. And then it was, I don't know, Michelle Kwan or Christy Yamaguchi. And I'm so grateful for these different people who came into the public eye because, as you know, Asian and Asian American representation is still a huge problem today. But at the same time, it just felt incredibly false and untrue to me because it was like, well, you have a limited experience and I have a limited experience, but that's not me, right? That's not my identity. And I think it's because, right, we had no information, we had no common ground to kind of stand on. And if I had known, well, there's a whole country full of many, many people who you can identify with. There's a whole media out there that's making things you can identify with, maybe more than Western tropes. Maybe it would have been different for me. But when I was growing up, it was really hard because every time there was something Asian-ish, like Miss Saigon, my parents thought, oh, it would be great for her to go see this. And I thought, oh, it would be great for me to go see this. But it was kind of meta, right? Because then it was like, okay, is that really how I'm supposed to be? Is that really how I'm supposed to identify? Is that the expectation on me? And I didn't want that expectation. So my whole childhood was a rejection of what I thought I was. And later, more healthily and acceptance of who and what I actually am.
I can completely relate with that. I'm also an Asian writer, so I know where you are coming from. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to ask you that besides writing poems that deal with the subject of identity, what other themes do you usually explore in your writing?
Hmm. That's interesting. So I have a background in philosophy and political science. And I think that, I don't know if that's really evident in my work, but I'm very interested in certain ideas. Like in philosophy, I studied the problem of evil and the kind of metaphysics behind the world or behind systems. And I was really fascinated by that. And in political science, I was really excited by authoritarianism versus democratic systems of government, societal issues, and international relations, as well as man versus society or man versus government. And I think that a lot of my work explores those types of themes, hopefully in a very concrete way. So it's not just, oh, I'm writing a poem about the soul, but I want to write something really specific. So Right now, I'm working on some poems that are going to be published in the Seventh Wave. And I've had such a great experience working with them. They wanted poems about the quote unquote economies of harm, right? The late stage capitalism, the consumerism, the expectations around identity that drive people and that ultimately harm individuals. So I'm talking about things such as kind of eco poetry in a way. I'm talking about the societal norms that I grew up with, for instance, around shopping and looking good and buying new things that have caused huge environmental damage and that are contributing to climate change, that are contributing to labor problems in other countries, low wages, like capitalist kind of exploitation. So I'm really thinking about all of these things and trying to enter them in a really concrete way in my work.
Okay. Now I want to ask you about your achievements. So, you have won Best Small Fictions 2021, Cream City Reviews 2020 Summer Poetry Prize, as well as you
Mhm.
have received several grants. So, that's incredible. I mean, that's a great achievement in itself. So, would you like to talk
Thank you.
about that and what were those grants were about, and how has your experience been? As a writer, I mean, how do you see these things? So that's something I want to ask.
Okay, no, that's a great question. Well, like most writers, I suffer from huge imposter syndrome. So whenever I win something, or even when somebody notifies me you're on a wait list or you're a finalist or something, I think, oh, I'm not going to win. And my boyfriend can attest to this because I'll be really excited. I'll rush in like, hey, guess what? I got great news. And then I'm like, but I'm probably not going to win. So, especially with Cream City Review, I submitted on a whim. I rarely submit to contests. I don't have the money to put into a lot of applications and things like that. So, I just submitted on a whim because I love EJ Co. I thought, okay, I'll try this out, whatever. And every time they notified me, I think it was first the long list and then the short list and then the, oh, maybe you're going to get published, but maybe you're not going to win. Every single time I thought, oh, but that could never be me. Like these other people are probably so much better. And I do think it is a crapshoot. So that's why I rarely do contests. But I was so astounded when I won. And I was so grateful for the support from the judge, from the magazine, from the community. So I think it was really worthwhile. Generally, because I don't have that much money, and I'm talking maybe 20 to $50 a month to devote to writing, just in general. And I know that's more than some people. What I think is it's better to sink that money into a workshop, a class, something where you're actually getting concrete value rather than something like a contest. So that's why I've applied to a lot of opportunities where I really feel like it's going to teach me something. I'm excited to work with the facilitators, or I need this craft point. I really want to work on this thing that they're going to teach me. And to me, I feel like that's a better way to spend my money. But I also feel like it's on the continuum of submitting, where you usually have to send work, you have to do your application, write a cover letter, sometimes you have to write a statement. And because I guess I have an academic background and kind of a marketing light background, like I've done a lot of writing and I'm not afraid of those sorts of things. And I think that writers should generally not be afraid of them. It's great to have a writing CV and some sort of statement that you can tailor to whatever place, just so you have something ready. And it's a really, really great way to find good opportunities that are a good value for the money. So I really encourage people to just look and see what's out there. A lot of places have free applications, and that's something that I do a lot, free submissions to contests or free applications to get grants and things like that. I wish that there were more resources around that, because I know that it's really difficult for somebody who doesn't have those materials to get started. But I really encourage you to try to find ways to do that, because it's one of the best ways to spend, let's say, an hour or two on your writing that's going to benefit your writing so much in the long run.
That's a good advice. I think if any editor is listening, or anybody who can come up with something that Maria is suggesting, I think that would be very helpful for everybody, and especially for emerging writers who just go from journal to journal and thinking that they take rejections to their heart because they really don't know what's really going on. So it's actually very difficult for those who are, especially for upcoming writers.
Absolutely. It was really tough for me at first too. And like last year when I really started, I had almost nothing. So I'm happy to help people to get eyes on something, but the community is great for that too, because people will retweet opportunities, they'll retweet free contest entries or donations for like writers of color or other marginalized writers to enter opportunities. So I just try to take advantage of that. I try to maximize the things I'm getting for the money that I spend. And one way to do that is to find great opportunities that either are free or very low cost. And even the workshops and things themselves that I've taken are not that expensive, because I can't afford to drop like thousands of dollars on one experience.
Okay, Maria. So you are also a prose editor at a couple of magazines. So how has your editing helped you hone your craft? And also, what exactly do you look for in submissions when you are reading?
Okay, well, that's very complicated, but I honestly, when I came back, I started out at Angst as an editor, and that was such a great experience for me. I I did volunteer my time. It was completely unpaid, but I learned so much. I had such a great community, and it was one of the first times that I felt like, oh, I'm working with other writers. I think that being on staff with a lit mag is a way of collaborating on a project that at the end of the day, hopefully everybody can be really proud about. And I'm really, really proud of all the work that I've done as a reader and editor. I think that I've found some amazing pieces. I've talked with amazing writers. Sometimes I can't believe that these people are not only submitting, but then letting me kind of give them some advice on their pieces. So I think it has taught me how to avoid certain mistakes, or how to judge when my piece is not there yet. Because I still have a hard time. Sometimes when I look at something I've written, I think to myself, oh, this is good, this is done. And then somebody else can identify flaws, or they can summarize something for me that maybe I kind of felt, but I couldn't even express. So I just thought, oh, this piece is great. Why isn't it getting picked up places? So it's helped me be realistic about how many times I need to submit something, but it's also helped me get from, okay, I wrote something and it's a draft, to, okay, this is actual work that I should be sending out, because it's helped me look for those troublesome places where my writing went slack, or there's a line in a poem that's too long, or it sounds really awkward. So I think it has helped me hone my eye. And I work with a big reading staff at CR, and I talk to them a lot, and pretty much all of them have told me that reading at CR has made them more able to kind of turn the eagle eye on their own writing and challenge themselves to get better first drafts, and also to get better drafts in general. So I think it's really helpful in that sense. Now, about what we're looking for at CR specifically, we're looking for the best writing that comes in the queue. Most of the stories that we see aren't ready, either because, and we don't know if it's just not the writer's best work, and they're really, really, really capable of writing a story that we think is worthy of publishing in CR, or because maybe they still need to learn some craft things to get to that level. And even so, I've read a lot of really great stories that are really close to that I still think about, and I still wonder whatever happened to that. I hope that story got published somewhere else. So I see it as a journey, and sometimes you're not ready yet at CR, but that doesn't mean that you should stop submitting. We are publishing Lucy Zhang in our next issue, and she is a fantastic writer. I mean, she has a ton of accolades. She's very, very, very good and very innovative in the writing that she does. And she submitted to Chestnut like every month, right? So even though she's a fantastic writer, it's not like, oh, we're just going to publish the first piece that we see. You know, sometimes it wasn't a good fit. Sometimes there was something that we thought, oh, you know, and that's true for everybody. So, you know, I would definitely say don't give up. Just try to make the best work that you possibly can, and be really smart about where you submit to. You want to find somewhere you're proud to have published you, but you also want to keep building your publishing credits. So there's nothing wrong with optimizing in the middle of that, right? You don't want to just send all your work to Paris review and then wonder, well, why is no one publishing me?
Okay, so now I want to request you to read any poem of yours, that's close to you, or that you would like to share with us.
Okay, poem reading on demand. Okay, let me hang out in here, and sorry, I was not expecting this. Oh gosh, well, I'm going to read this poem that was published in Tahoma Literary Review. I think it's very personal. It speaks to some of the same issues that we were talking about earlier. Right. So it's called 1986 Nyan October. Tenhuol 30th, 1986, my ears into foreign language entered. Swaddled in this pink baby tongue, I, Western civilization, inhaled this popping staccato tempo, samunori drums, red, rounded apples, A for apples, A for astrological abecedarian. I broke through first language barrier, constellated I, paradox, membrane, placenta to placenta, no longer one, plethora of twos suspended in space, time, entered October 30th from the 31st, calculated, difference, accounting for day, light savings time, became Cancer, Sun, Scorpio, Moon in transit, fighting, Hangul phonemes, retrograde. Just when I entered this house, no one can say how many revolutions worth of fallout I had to dodge, questioning. When you bow to the earth, you are pointing. X-axis bent from the waist, you are swooping around cosmos, inclining your head to indicate gratitude, acknowledgement, respect. You mark yourself on a trajectory of unbelonging. I learned Korea from this distance, othering myself towards a new identity, unable to verify my birth time, birth, zodiac. Not to bow, I learned to stay still, stay awake at midnight, pronounce American, myself, to stop mourning. The tiger of my youth, wondering where, had gone, welcoming 12 other animals. I traded these rats and roosters for crabs and scorpions, dragon for virgin, relinquished my horse for a pitcher of water.
Wow, I loved it.
Thanks, Susan.
Thank you
Sorry,
so
I was
much.
not expecting to read a poem today.
No, I think I think it's on me. I should have told you that, I would ask you to read it. I thought that, it would be understood, but, it's on me. So, I apologize for that. But
Oh, no, no, it's totally fine.
I really love your poem. It's fabulous. Is it available online anywhere where I can read it?
Yes, absolutely. It actually, okay, I'm not 100% sure, but I think so. It is definitely on SoundCloud, and because it's Tahoma Literary Review, so they made me do an audio, and I'm not sure if they I'm not sure that they actually published it. Do you want me to read? Like they sent me a print journal, and I think that they published some of their pieces online. Would it be easier if I read a piece that was up somewhere that was more readily available?
Yeah, that's fine. I think yeah, yeah, I'll get it. It's fine. It's completely all right.
Okay, because it is on SoundCloud, but it's not yeah, I don't think it's available like online in Word format yet. And I can't put them on my site because I think they have rights until 3 months or 6 months from now, something like that. So
Oh, okay. I get it.
yeah.
No worries. Okay, Maria, towards the end of the discussion, I want to request you if there's any message that you would like to give to writers who are, just starting out. So if there's anything you would like to say to them.
Okay, yeah. There's so much I would like to say. But if I'm thinking about myself, even 2 years ago, when I already knew some stuff, but looking back, I like basically knew nothing. I would definitely tell writers to believe in themselves. And that sounds really vague, but sometimes it's okay to break the rules. Sometimes it's okay to ignore shoulds or oughts, things you feel like you must do, things that you feel like real writers do. Just tune all that out. Because I'm a planner, as you can probably tell by the grants and the things that I've applied to and stuff. I love thinking about the future. I'm not so good at doing stuff in the present. And sometimes I really get in my own head. Like even now, I have an MFA in fiction, but I think to myself, oh, I don't have an MFA in poetry, so I'm not like a real poet. And I just have these self-defeating narratives that I have to work past. And I think that the most rewarding things that I've done are reaching out to people in the community, even when I was terrified that they would just be like, you're like a little gnat. I don't know why you're talking to me. Feeling confident in myself and my own work, like poems that I subbed to 30 places before they got published because I really believed in them and I didn't want to change them. Things I applied for that I thought I would never get, but I just tried anyway. I really needed to get out of my own way. And I really needed to stop thinking about the ideal Maria or the ideal writer or the model and just work with what I had. So I think that now I have a very scrappy approach to writing, if that even makes sense, where I just do what I can. I work full time. I have a lot of things going on. Sometimes it's just 5 minutes where I open a draft of a poem and I take a look at it. Sometimes it's I'm taking a workshop, so I'm forced to have some writing to turn in. I'm forced to work on a project. I'm forced to write flash. And that's okay. Everybody has a different process. Beg, borrow, steal, talk to people, get inspiration from what they're doing, get inspiration from how awesome they are. Like Fiz's journey of trying to get published everywhere, that's amazing. To me, that's something that really inspires me to keep submitting. And do you, right? Find the way that works for you. Don't worry if it's legit or not. Follow your heart. Don't undersell your writing either. try to look at places where you're submitting to and ask yourself, does my writing belong here? Would I be proud to show people my writing here? Uh, does it look like a place that's going to respect me and my work? And if not, don't be there. And that's the same for workshops. It's the same for writing organizations. Anywhere that's not going to respect you as a person is not worthwhile. Any person who's going to throw shade on your work and they're not doing it to try to give you constructive criticism, but they're legitimately just hating on you, they don't deserve your time and attention. So I've tried to stay above all that. And it hasn't worked perfectly. There have been times where I've wanted to quit. I actually did quit writing poetry for many years because people kind of boxed me in as a fiction writer. And I still had this itch for poetry, but I just never felt like I was legitimate. And I'm still getting over that in everything I do. But yeah, I would just believe in yourself, keep doing what works for you, work on writing, don't let yourself get mired in your own excuses, and don't get stuck in your own head and your own mental spiral. And you will be successful.
Wow, that's such a great message, and I loved it. So, Maria, thank you so much for your time. And once again, I want to say it was a pleasure talking to you. It's always a pleasure reading your work. You're one of the finest writers that I know through Twitter. I know you are feeling a bit shy, but honestly, I get it. I completely get it. But you are one of the finest writers that I know through Twitter. So yeah, I would definitely say that. So I'm sorry for making you feel embarrassed, but that's something I really believe in. Also, if anybody would like to, read Maria's work, so you can check her website, which is maria.picone.com, or you can reach out to her on Twitter at mspicone. So she's very helpful and very friendly. So you can connect with her. Maria, I am just going to stop the recording, and then we can have a chat for a while post interview, and then
Yeah.
we will take it.